Very good evening, Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. I hope you all had a very good weekend and a good day to begin with, and a week ahead. So let us start with a new chapter today. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shirdi, Sai Baba. So we will begin with new chapter today, chapter 21, Bestowal of Grace. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity, to Shri Sita Ramachandra. My most humble obeisance, I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. Now listen with concentration to how Thakur and others had the darshan of the great saint, that is Sai Baba, as he has already been mentioned at the end of the last chapter. In vain are the words of that speaker, which, when they fall on the ears of his listeners, do not make them sway with joy or make the hair on their bodies stand on end with a deep emotion. The narration, listening to which the listeners are not delighted, or their throats are not choked with emotion and tears of joy, do not trickle from their eyes. That narration has truly gone waste. Baba's speech was captivating. His style of instructing was most remarkable. I bowed my head humbly at his feet, whose leelas were marvelous and novel at every step. Unless fortune smiles, one does not meet sadhus and saints, and even when once is closed at hand to the great sinner, he is not visible. And to testify to the truth of this, one does not have to seek far into the country or into another land. Why? I will narrate my very own experience to the listeners. This is extremely true of what is mentioned here. First is you need to understand, having this human birth itself is like a boon. And then you need to have that burning desire. And if that comes, that's even more amazing. And then when the grace of God dawns on you, or when the grace of God comes, and then the Guru finds you. So that's what he's saying. When you find the company of the sages and saints, when you ever get to meet such a great master, that must be of some good merit. Yes, you must have accumulated a lot of good merits from the past. And that is why in that particular life, whether it is this life or your previous life, whenever you have met the gurus, right? And we are talking about in this particular life. And if you ever get to meet such a divine master, you are blessed. But what is mentioned here is extremely important. The point is that no matter who can come in the contact of the divine being, but if they are sinners and they do not have that grace, even though the master is front of them, they will not be able to experience the same devotion or experience the same kind of emotion or that love within their heart. They cannot. And that is why it is said, let me read this verse once again for you. Unless fortune smiles, one does not meet sadhus and saints. Absolutely. And even when such a one is close at hand, to the great sinner, he is not visible. He might be standing right in front of you. He's right visible to you. Yet, you will not be able to recognize him. You will not be able to experience the same thing what someone else is experiencing in terms of the devotion or that experience of who he truly is. I will narrate with you my own many experiences which I have experienced with my Krishna Guruji. I've been with my Guruji for the last 12 years now. There have been a lot of people who will say when I talk about my Guruji, oh, I want to come and meet him. I want to, I want to learn from him. Many people say that. Some will come, they'll meet in the first time, they'll judge him. They look at his ordinary, existence, the way he appears. My Guruji, we call him a modern Guruji, He just wears a jeans and a t-shirt. He's not donning a costume. He's not wearing any ochre clothes or some kind of a glamour attire that everybody has, He doesn't have any of those. It's absolutely simple. All he wears is a white t-shirt or a navy blue t-shirt and a jeans pant. That is all you can find him in. And when people meet such a great master in that simplicity, people think, oh, who the hell is he? Does he have knowledge? He's a saint, he's a sadhu. Who is he? He's the Parabrahman. They cannot understand, they cannot fathom, so that the judgment comes in play. And what happens is his appearance is itself that Maya. So they fall for that and they get carried away. So even after that grace being there, they cannot see him. That is what it is mentioned here. Even though fortune smiles on them, but one does not meet obviously, so for those who on the good merit is there, they cannot meet him. And despite meeting him, to the great sinner, he's not visible. So if your sins are so much more greater, you can't even experience him, you can't see him, you can't recognize him. This is what happens. So always seek for that grace. When you, with your innermost being, when you seek that, the God will definitely be moved with compassion and will show that grace on you. Definitely. He's not a hard-hearted being like the way we can think. God is ever compassionate. He's benevolent. His benediction is on everybody. His grace is on everyone. It is you who has to take that grace. There was a Siddha, well known by the name Pir Maulana, in the Bandra town, now a suburb of Bombay city. For his holy darshan, the Hindus, the Parsis, and the wise and learned of even other religions came to him. I was a magistrate in the suburb at that time. He had a devotee called Yunus, who served him devotedly, and this Yunus pursued me day and night to go for his darshan. Thousands of people flocked there. Then why should I go there too? Just out of respect for his feelings. Why should I allow myself to be persuaded and thus lose my reputation? Some such considerations would always come to my mind, and I never went for his darshan, as if I was afraid of my own shadow. Or perhaps it was my ill luck that came in the way of taking his darshan. Many years passed thus. Thereafter, I was transferred from there, but later on, when the appropriate time came, a lasting association with Shirdi came to be established. In short, in the company of saints, the unfortunate gain no entry, while it is easy for those who enjoy God's grace. Otherwise, such an opportunity is very difficult to come by. Please know this. This is exactly what I was saying. It's very rare to get such an opportunity. When the God's grace dawns on you, it's the master, the guru, the Lord Almighty himself will bring you to meet these great saints and sages and the gurus who are the true masters. Okay, and when such a grace is there, never waste that grace, please, because it's one opportunity that you get to meet them and make the best of it, because only through them can you evolve on the path of spiritual. They will teach you how to live a righteous life. They will open up your eyes to see the world which is beyond your ken and understanding. We cannot see beyond our nose, but when you come in the company of these great masters, they will open up this universe for you, where you will understand the truth and be able to live a righteous life. The path of dharma is what you will be able to follow. In short, in the company of saints, the unfortunate gain no entry, while it is easy for those who enjoy God's grace. Otherwise, such an opportunity is difficult to come by. And now, my listeners, listen to an interesting tale about this and see how these saints have associations and secret arrangements with each other from time immemorial. At the proper time and as the occasion demands, they incarnate at the place of their choice to accomplish their purpose, but they are not different from each other. Absolutely. If you take Krishna avatar, when Sri Krishna manifested on this planet Earth, he was the Purna avatar. That form of him was a Purna avatar. And if you look at Krishna himself, split into four aspects. Lord Sri Krishna, his brother Balram, his son Anirudh, and his I think his son is Pradyumna and grandson Anirudh, one of the two names. I apologize if I've said this incorrectly. So he was split into four aspects, but only Lord Sri Krishna was a complete form. Though they were split into four different forms, not everybody had that complete power. So what I'm saying here is they will come at their choice, their time, wherever they want to manifest, how they want to manifest. It is none of anybody's concern. They can appear in different aspect in different times. An example I will give you, during Sri Ram's period, there was Parshuram as well, and they both were fighting a battle, but they were an aspect of the same being, but they didn't recognize each other. But what it tells you is that they manifest to serve a purpose. Whether it is Sri Ram or Parshuram, they all came to establish dharma alone, and they were also walking the path of spiritual itself. If you take Sri Ram, he had a different purpose, how to live, how to be a righteous king. He was setting an example for all the kings during that era as to how do you rule your kingdom in the most righteous manner and being extremely godly, and while also studying under his guru Vashishta Muni and evolving on the path of spirituality as well, and then applying it in his in his ruling when he has to rule the kingdom and being the most righteous king on this planet earth. That is exactly what they came to achieve. It is about setting an example and also showing the world how you live in this world. It's a very, very profound way of what these divine beings do. They demonstrate themselves taking that form. It is not so easy. We think everything should be easy. Yesterday my Guruji was giving a very beautiful lesson, and I'll tell you what that lesson was. We were sitting with some of people who had come to meet him, and at that time he was giving a very beautiful story, and the story goes like this. Everybody today is fed up with that material worldly life. And there are some youngsters, people who are in the prime age of their teenage, and they want to make a decision as to what is the future they should focus on, what should they study, or what should they do in their life. Because today they don't know what's the path ahead, how to go ahead, because they're confused by experiencing what is happening in this world. And then they want to know whether spiritual is the right path, or what is spirituality and what happens when you get into it. So my Guruji simply said this one very nice thing. He said, no matter what you're doing, you have to be the best in that particular job. Which means, today, why do we worship a god? Because we feel that they are the ultimate. They have the power. They have been able to achieve some of the greatest things. They have killed demons. So many beautiful stories we have heard about them. Their superficial powers that exist. A lot of different things, and we want to. We want that power ourselves. We want to be like them. The superheroes. But what happens is we think that we are this body, and our mind causes the limitations. Our mind is the limiting factor to everything. So my Guruji was saying, it is all about discipline. Okay, be it in spiritual though, yes, whether you like it or not, you have to be disciplined. There is no point otherwise you being in spiritual on the path of spiritual. You have to follow a lot of different things. It's not going to come easy. Okay, that's a different ball game. That's the different ball game altogether. So let me explain here what this means, right? What he was teaching. He said, look, if you decide to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., stick to that. Okay, you should be able to wake up 5 minutes earlier than that specified time, or on dot. If you say 5 a.m. is what you want to get up, you should be able to wake up at 4:55 a.m. or on dot 5 a.m. Just get up. Don't let your mind say, I'm going to sleep for 5 more minutes. Don't keep multiple alarms. So this is the discipline you have to bring within yourself. Nobody can give this from outside, and not just on a weekday, right? Oh, it's a weekend, I will go to sleep. No, you have to wake up at the same time throughout your life, lifespan. The rest of your life, you should be able to get up at the same time, go for a walk, whatever that you follow, you need to follow that ritual. It is doing everything in clockwork precision. It's about doing the same task over and over again till the time you achieve that perfection in that and become the best that is there in that particular job, whatever that is. So my Guruji was saying, see, it's about you becoming the best version of yourself. And how do you do that? But by arduous effort, by hard work. And he'll always give this very beautiful story of Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci. I'm going to again, narrate this beautiful story which my Guruji has taught. Rather, he explained in the museum in Singapore. So there was a very beautiful curation of the journey and whatever the inventions and every other thing Leonardo da Vinci has done in his life. This man has written 10,000 inventions, and not just inventions, he also has done a pilot or a prototype of that and demonstrated how that particular invention can be used, and how what is the problem it solves, or what is that can help. So he had created a 3D version, or a 3D version of that, the protein or the bacteria, which is like much advanced when he had invented it, which is now we have found about that. But can you believe somebody such a super brain? But what made him that genius? How did he become extraordinary? See, there is nothing that you can't achieve. This is what my Guruji is teaching, that divinity, that knowledge, everything is within you. But the problem is you have never made that effort. You did not go try. The moment we say, okay, why don't you study? My Guruji will always say this, if you don't know, go study. Oh, you know what? That's a very difficult subject. I've never done this in my life. I don't know that. This is exactly what we keep saying. We want to first negate it. We want to give all the negatives. We want to say why we cannot do it. Why is that you want to why do you want to first cut it off? You're not even giving the universe a chance to show you that you are capable of it. Go and just try. What makes you think that you are incapable? Anything is possible in this world when you put your heart and soul, and when you say, yes, I'm going to try. And then he was telling this boy, who was asking him certain questions, that look, this is how Leonardo da Vinci had done, and also he had written all the inventions in a mirror image. You cannot read them. You have to read in reverse manner, and it's a mirror image. You have to you can see it straight only when you reflect in the mirror. That is how he did. How was he able to do this? He was also a sculptor. He was a painter. You name it. He did so many different things, which means he worked 18 hours a day without a break. There was no Saturday, Sunday. There was no vacation, nothing. His entire life was spent on his work. He didn't get recognition for that. He did not get paid. But yes, after he died, the world recognized his work. He became a very famous being. Of course, his art is so, one of the prized, it's a very prized possession. Everybody's, saving it. That is what he became. But that is called Swadharma. You're not. See, he followed Bhagavad Gita, the principle of Bhagavad Gita, which is not to get attached to the fruits of the result. He did not bother about whether he's going to make money or not money. And in that, my Guruji also taught that, look, there are people who will take the knowledge and make money. Of course, they are there. But there are people who are very passionate about their job. That's why we say work is worship. You have to give your heart and soul to what is given to you. And that is when you can achieve anything in this world, whether it is spirituality, but any task for that matter. You will become the best version of who you are in that particular task. It is not about comparison. There is nobody like you. You are unique in your own way. You don't have to compare with somebody else. See, everybody is made with a certain purpose. Everybody has been given their own nature. There are certain very interesting qualities that has been given to them. So you have to only focus on that and rise above and become who you want to be in this world, and stop giving yourself negatives. This is a very important lesson. I hope you understand this. And even on the path of spiritual, this is exactly what you have to do. You have to experience. To experience, you have to study, you have to apply, you have to keep going through this learning curve, and it is endless and it is limitless. So likewise, even in your material world, no matter what job you are doing, put your heart and soul in it. Every single day, know that you're serving the Lord Almighty. So how do you like Him to see you? When you meet Him at night and say, thank you God for this beautiful day and I did this, you need to make Him proud of who you are. As your father, he should become very proud of his child. Oh, my child is doing so much of hard work. You have to make him proud. You don't need to wait for any recognitions from outside. Nobody has to recognize you. Know this much. You need to write, yourself within you. That is the Lord Almighty. That self has to be proud of you. That is the self you have to please. It is not pleasing anybody else. Don't wait for appreciations from outside. There is no need for any appreciations. There is no recognition from anybody. When the time is right, God will recognize what He has to recognize about you. But you need to put that effort and keep doing this work. This is what my Guruji so beautifully taught. How do we elevate ourselves to be the divine being? By working hard, by putting that efforts. You are yourself the Lord Almighty. So what makes you think you're somebody else? That is all here we are learning. I'm sorry to take this a long time to explain this, but this is a very important today. No matter which younger generation or the millennials and childrens, you have to mold them to thinking like this, and not do not let them get carried away by what they see, what they hear, and get influenced by all sorts of things that's happening in this world. You need to channel them on the right path. They are the clay today. You have to mold them, for which you yourself have to set yourself as a role model to them. You have to become an example to your children, so that they will look up to you and they will follow. Otherwise, you cannot put them on that path. And now, my listeners, listen to an interesting tale about this and see how these saints have associations and secret arrangements with each other from time immemorial. At the proper time and as the occasions demand, they incarnate at the place of their choice to accomplish their purpose, but they are not different from each other. Though their place, time, and purpose may differ, each saint knows the mind of the other completely. At heart, they are all one. Just as an emperor of the whole earth has his officers posted at various camps in different regions of his kingdom and thus brings prosperity to it. Similarly, this emperor of the joyful self appears in different places and stirs the ship of his empire smoothly by guiding its course secretly. Once there was a gentleman with the advantage of English education and adorned with a BA degree who gradually rose to be a renowned officer. Later on, he became a mamlatdar and rising higher and higher became a deputy collector. By his good fortune, he was blessed with Sai Baba's company. The high office of a mamlatdar, though outwardly attractive, is like a hill that appears beautiful from a distance, but is surrounded by the kajri plants on a close view. In prestige, however, it is still great. Gone are those days, happy days of yore, when there was a great fondness for enjoying this authority, and among the people too. There was respect for the officers, thus making everybody happy. But who can describe the toil and suffering that it entails now? Those days are over when this was a comfortable job. Now there is an abundance only of responsibilities. As for money, it may be a plenty, but so is the drudgery that goes with it. Even when one works rigorously and sincerely today, there is no longer that respect with that mamlatdar once commanded and grandeur that went with the office, which equaled that of a deputy collector. Moreover, even to get this post of power and authority, who could hope to succeed without spending money in plenty and without an arduous and continuous study? He had to pass his BA first. Then he would become an accounts clerk in the revenue department on a monthly pay of rupees 30. Such would be his slow progress. At the proper time, he would then go eastwards across the Ghats to be trained in measuring of land and would be required to stay among the land surveyors so that he could pass the departmental examination. Later, when a vacancy arose by the demise of an officer, it would become useful to him. But now, enough of this long winding tale. Why should one just go on babbling? So listen to the story of how one such person met Sai. I think it sounds familiar, right? It is the same with the corporate life as well. Actually, much tougher than this. There's no respect today. Everybody is in a different world. There's a lot of politics. You have to work hard. Sometimes it's about you scratch my back, I scratch my back, but that's not what it is. The path of dharma, which my Guruji or even any of the scriptures is talking about, is simply this. You have to do any job that you take on with absolute sincerity and hard work and keep studying and always be on the path of dharma. What has to, the promotion, the results, the money, everything, please surrender at the will of the divine. What he has to give for you, he will give. So don't run after it. This is the very important lesson today you need to understand, because people today are lost running this rat race. You need to stop, pause, and please know that it's not worth it's not worth one penny that you're making, having to literally sweat yourself so much and get lost mentally, and physically you're worn out completely, running this rat race. So don't get carried away with what's happening in your office, at a home, everything. Work in a detachment manner. And that's what Baba is also going to teach. Though he was present for the hearing, the matter got, one second, sorry, I think it's a page. There is a village near Belgaum called Vadgaon, where a contingent of surveyors came on a visit and camped. In that village, there was a saintly man. He therefore went for his darshan, placed his head on his feet, and received his blessings with prasad. At that time, the saint had in his hand a book called Vichar Sagar by Nischal Das, which he was then reading. After a while, as he got up to take leave, listen to what that sadhu said to him very joyfully. So, you may go now, but have a look at this book. Remember that by doing so, your wishes will be fulfilled. And later, when you proceed northwards for your work, on your way, you will, by your good fortune, have the darshan of a great saint. He will guide you on your course ahead and bring stability and peace of mind. He will himself then instruct you and imprint his teachings on your mind. His work there was then over, and he was transferred to Junnar in Pune district. And for going there, it became imperative to cross over the Nanghat, which is known for its great height and the consequent peril in crossing it. The way there is hazardous, and it can be climbed only by riding a he-buffalo. That being the sole means of transport, a he-buffalo was procured from nearby to ride upon. Maybe one day in the future he would rise to be a high official and have horses, cars, etc. But on the present occasion, he had to make do as best as he could with the he-buffalo that was present. It was impossible to climb the ghat on foot, but for the he-buffalo, there was no other vehicle. Such was that wonderful Nane Ghat. And such indeed the unique means of transport. He then made up his mind, got the he-buffalo to be saddled with stuffed cushions on its back, and with great difficulty he mounted it. Mount he did, but the climb was steep, and to add to it, he had the most extraordinary vehicle in that he-buffalo. What with the jolts and jerks and violent oscillations, his back was sprained most painfully. At last the journey ended. The business at Junnar was completed satisfactorily. Then came his transfer order, and he moved out of the place. He was transferred to Kalyan, where he met Chandorkar. When he heard from him the fame of Sainath, he too felt like having his darshan. An opportunity for it presented itself the very next day. Chandorkar was all ready to leave for Shirdi and said to him, "Come, let us make this trip to Shirdi together. We will both have his darshan, make obeisance to him, and after spending a day or two there, will return to Kalyan." But on that very day, the hearing of a court case had been fixed in the Thane Civil Court, and so he had to abandon the idea of accompanying Chandorkar. In vain did Nana Sahib urge him to come, saying, "Baba is all-powerful and will satisfy your desire for his darshan. Of what consequence is that court case?" But he could not be convinced, for he was afraid of missing the hearings. After all, who can escape the fruitless, toilsome journeys written by fate on the forehead? Nana Sahib Chandorkar narrated earlier experiences of how all obstacles were removed when one had a strong urge in his heart for Baba's darshan. This is absolutely true. It is not only meeting the great sage. Even if you have to do some work for the divine will work in such a manner that that particular task that might obstruct or stop you from doing the divine job, whatever that might be, a puja or something that you must have thought that you want to do for the divine, that particular material worldly meetings or whatever that is obstructing that particular task on its own will move away. That is how it works. There has been many a time I would say, "Oh God, today I have to do this puja and I have to be with my Guruji, or I need to study this with my Guruji." At the same time, I will have that meeting. Or just a very simple example, in the evenings my Guruji has Das Bodh Satsang from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Many a time what happens, my meeting goes on because it's a UK time, so I have to invariably be on calls. But it so happens most of the time that call will either be before or after. So it's so beautifully, is moved out of that time zone, that but one particular hour I'm able to focus. Yes, there are days when it's not possible, but there are times when if I have to listen to that satsang, the universe on its own will work magic. And that's it. You should have that much conviction. This is exactly what Chandorkar is telling, this person. Don't even be afraid. What court case, what can stop you from not meeting Baba? He will see to that all that he will ward off. There's no obstacles that will come on that path of you meeting him, but you have to make that effort. This is the test the divine puts. It's very beautiful. I've seen with lot of people who come to meet my Guruji. They will say, I'm going to come tomorrow, but invariably they will fail. The moment they say they will come, there will be some obstacle put. Why does the divine, puts an obstacle? It's not this divine, he doesn't do it, his universe does it. The reason that obstacle comes is because you have to make that extra effort to come and meet the divine. Because meeting God is not such an easy thing. So we human beings get carried away, oh, there's such an important thing, I have to attend the meeting, my boss will say something, I have to take my mother to hospital, or my children is sick, something or the other. I have to take my wife somewhere, or I have to go to my son's school, something or the other that will happen. So, the reason those things will come to see what is your effort, how much you crave, how much effort you will make to go and meet the divine. One thing you got to be very careful. Whenever you commit, to any great master that you're going to do something or you want to do something, when you say from your mouth with them, please know that you're invariably going to fail. You know why? Because there are going to be obstacles. I'm very scared to say something to my Guruji. I'm going to do this, because the moment I say, that's one thing that I will not end up doing. So it's better that you keep up the commitment, you do that job, and then go tell him. Even after so many years, sometimes I still continue to make that mistake. I will go tell him, Krishna Ma, I will do this, I'm going to write today this article, or I'm going to finish this. Endlessly I will tell him, and invariably I will fail. Because that's what happens. So don't say this. And there's a very beautiful secret. That's why you have to be silent. Just do your job. You don't have to say. The moment you speak more, you will fail more. And this is a sadhana that we all have to go through, you, me, everybody else. When we are on the path of spiritual, this is one sadhana which is extremely important. So never commit something that you can't keep up, okay? So when you're committing, you have to keep up that word. That effort is required. So he went to Thane, and Chandorkar set out for Shirdi. He took Baba's darshan and started on his way back. Meanwhile, an amazing thing had happened at Thane. Though he was present for the hearing, the matter got adjourned to a future date. But now Chandorkar had gone too. In his heart, he felt quite abashed. Oh, how much better it would have been if I only had believed him. Chandorkar would have taken me with him, and my purpose of taking darshan would have been accomplished, quite at my ease in Shirdi. Now, not only does this court matter remain unfinished, but I have lost the chance of the sadhu's company. But he at once decided to go to Shirdi. Maybe he thought, if I go to Shirdi and am lucky enough to meet Nana, he will himself commit me to the protection of Sainath, which will make me happy. In Shirdi, I know no one. I am altogether new to the place. It will be just right if I meet Nana, although the chances are dim. So thinking, he boarded the train and reached Shirdi the next day. Of course, Nana was not there. The day he set out for Shirdi, Nana too had started on his return journey. He was dejected and felt quite disheartened in his mind. However, he met there another good friend who helped him have Sai's darshan, and his heart's desire was satisfied. On having Baba's darshan, Thakur was drawn to his feet. He prostrated in obeisance before Sai. Overcome with emotion, the hair on his body stood on end, and tears of love and joy brimmed over from his eyes. Then, as he stood still for a moment before him, listen carefully to what Baba said. Baba, who is omniscient, said to him with a smile on his face, what the Kannad Appa told you was what the Kannad Appa told you was like climbing the ghat mounted on a he buffalo, but it is not so easy to tread on this path. Here it is inevitable that one wears out one's body in hard toil. As these significant words fell on his ears, Thakur's heart overflowed with great joy. These words actually experienced only confirmed the truth of what that other saint had said earlier. How sweet. With both his hands folded, he then placed his head on Sai's feet and said, Maharaj, have mercy on me, this friendless one, and take me under your wing. You and you alone are my saint. Only today have I understood fully the message of the book by Nishchal Das and have thus experienced the highest pleasure. Oh, where that Vadgaon and where Shirdi, and what a pair indeed of the saint and the saintly. How concise but clear the language and what skill in instructing. One said, read the book, later you will meet a great saint who will truly guide you to your path of duty in future. Luckily, I met that great saint too, and he gave me the mark that he was that same saint, as advised by one. I read the book, and now I must act according to the advice of the other. Sainath said to him, what Appa told you was perfectly right. But when you put all that into practice, only then will your wishes be fulfilled. Absolutely true. This is how I met my Krishna Guruji. Sai Baba himself sent me to my Krishna Guruji when I had a very beautiful small book, the abridged version of Sai Satcharita. It's that, the red or the reddish color book we get. And in that, when I opened that book, he said, go to Radha Krishna Mai school. I didn't know who this Radha Krishna Mai school was. But for me, it was not directly he communicated. But yes, he communicated me through the scriptures. That is how he instructed me. And when I went to Shirdi, the thing that I asked him was, if my faith in you is real, if I believe that you are the God, I don't know who you are, but you're the saint. I didn't know much about gurus at that time. So I just worshipped him as God Almighty. And I said, if you're really that God, I want you to take a form and come to me and save me from this existence. I just don't know what to do with my life anymore. I'm not joking. Exactly. On Jan 8th, 2009, I was in Shirdi. And August 14th, 2009, my Guru finds me. That is the most beautiful thing that has ever happened to me in this life of mine. And I will never forget that one every single moment. From then onwards, my journey has been amazing. Yes, it is a roller coaster ride. Every day is a roller coaster ride, but it is worth going through that. Because if you don't go through that, there's no point in living this life. It's not used. My Guruji was teaching today a very beautiful lesson. He said, if you do not experience that knowledge, if you do not ask questions, if you do not find out and understand who is Maya, what is this love for the divine, how will you then ever evolve on the path of spiritual? How can you be spiritual? It's not about guesswork. There is no guesswork here. You need to get a real-time experience. And this is where he gave a very beautiful example. Since the day my Guruji has been on the path, on the spiritual, and he himself has started this journey, his feet has been burning, like a fire, literally like a volcano. And then what happens is, no matter what footwear he's wearing, he's never been comfortable with it. He cannot, be in that shoes for a long time. So we used to go and try to find out, go to different stores and try out different shoes and see whether that is going to be comfortable for him. But vain was it until we finally figured the kind of shoe that suits his feet. And then I've never understood. I'm like, I used to tell him, Krishna, I know what, this is like the most softest thing is that it's the most comfortable one, and why is it hurting you? I don't seem to understand. No shoe is, you like it 2 days you'll wear and third day you'll chuck it out. Finally, now, since the day I've started the Sai Satcharita Parayan, I'm experiencing the same thing. Now, every single day I keep telling my Guruji, what I tell him? I now understand what happened to you. So till you don't experience the truth about this knowledge, you will not understand what that words mean. What is the divine love? What is that devotion? What kind of tears will well out of you? How beautiful. Just reading this, I'm just crying in my heart. It's so beautiful. I literally feel like I met Baba and this is happening to me. That's the level you have to feel. You need to go far beyond that. I'm not saying my experience is ultimate. No, you can experience much more than what I can or anybody can in your own capacity. So that is why we say, as is your faith, so are your experiences. This is only individual level, your devotion. You have to invoke, you have to keep going on that path. How much do you want this? It all depends on you. There is nobody who can give this outside. So you put that effort. The choice rests only with you and not anyone else. Luckily, I met the great saint too, and he gave me the mark that he was the same saint. As advised by one, I read the book, and now I must act accordingly to the advice of the other. Sainath said to him, "What Appa told you was perfectly right, but when you put all that into practice, only then your wishes will be fulfilled." Practice, that's a key word. The secret to anything is practice. Sadhana. Every day when I do the satsang, I'm quite afraid of my Guruji. You know why? Because he's the greatest master and I feel I'm so imperfect. But you know what my Guruji says? You should just go do it. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. You have to learn. And you correct them. And then you evolve. Definitely none of this knowledge is mine. I'm just an instrument, a tool. But yes, I have to continue doing this. I have to put effort. I have to study. You have to make that effort. But if you don't do that, then how will you evolve? How can the satsang come from your mouth? There is a reason why the divine chose this body. This is as a tool. But I have to make an effort to read this and then speak. But the words are of his wisdom. That is the faith I need to have. My Guruji will, whatever that lesson has to come from my mouth will come. But he only wants to see how much effort can I put. Every single day he'll say, go study, go read lot of things. Then you can give lot more explanations. Then you can, expand much better. You can share, many of your examples. So that's how the Guruji trains. But he wants to see how he wants his student to be the best one. He wants his disciple to be the highest, the perfect one, because he knows that is who they are. So you have to work hard. Nothing is going to come without hard work, practice and sadhana. Please know this. At Vadgaon, Vichar Sagar of Nischal Das was recommended for the benefit of the devotee. After some time, and when the book had been read carefully, it was explained in Shirdi as to how it could be put into practice. The book should be listened to carefully first, then the same should be contemplated upon. It should be pursued from the beginning to the end and read repeatedly in this manner. That is how it is meditated upon all the time. And merely reading it is not the end of that matter. It must come into practice, or else it will be like pouring water over a vessel turned upside down. In vain indeed is all that reading, which does not give knowledge based on self-experience. Without the grace of the Guru, who has himself obtained Brahmanyana, such bookish knowledge is unproductive. Absolutely. See, it's not just you're listening once, right? You have to listen, reread it, keep listening over and over again. Even that one lesson enters your being, absolutely, it's beautiful. See, that's what he's saying, right? Without the Guru, grace of the Guru, who has himself obtained the Brahmanyana, such bookish knowledge is unproductive. So the grace, once you read, there has to be a grace for that knowledge to open. That, I keep saying this, it's like I just make this, it's a tongue, it's like some knock happens, the bell rings, something like that happens, and then you, oh my God, this is what it means. Then understanding is one aspect, but then you have to practice it. How do you practically apply? That is a very important aspect. That's the next step. That's altogether a huge next level. And there the application is extremely important. Till you do not apply what you have learned, that knowledge has no use. Please know that. A short tale in this context will reveal the true importance of devotion and the great need for human effort. May the listener listen carefully in his own interest. Oh my God, this is going to be very beautiful. Let us listen. Once a resident of Pune, Anantrao Patnakar by name, felt a strong urge for Sai's darshan and came to Shirdi at once. He had listened to Vedanta, had also read the original Sanskrit Upanishads along with the commentaries, but it had not brought him peace of mind. The restlessness would not leave him. But after taking the darshan of Sai Samarth, Patnakar felt at peace. He made obeisance at Baba's feet and offered puja with all the rites and rituals. With folded hands, Anantrao then sat in front of Baba and in a tone of supplication very lovingly asked him, "Many great books have I seen, and I have carefully studied the Vedangas and the Upanishads. I have also listened to the excellent Shastras and Puranas, and yet how is my mind so wearied, so tired, so that now I am beginning to feel that whatever I have read is all wasted. The illiterate faithful ones appear to me to be better than myself. In vain indeed has been my reading of books, in vain the deep study of the Shastras. Futile is all the bookish knowledge, so long as this mind is not at peace. Oh, how hollow is the proficiency in the Shastras, and wherefore the chanting of the Mahavakyas, either if they do not bring peace to the mind. And oh, what hope is there of attaining Brahmanyana? Traveling by word of mouth, the news reached me that Sai Darshan removes all the worries, all the anxieties, and that amidst light-hearted, humorous talk, Sai effortlessly guides you to the right path. Therefore, O Maharaj, who are the very treasure house of devout austerity, I have humbly come at your feet. Do bless me with the benediction that my mind will become calm and steady. Maharaj then narrated a humorous allegorical tale which brought satisfaction to Anantrao that the knowledge he had acquired so far had been worthwhile. I shall now narrate the tale, which is concise but with profound significance. Listen attentively to it. Humorous, no doubt, but it is most instructive. Who will disregard such a story? Baba then replied, there once came a merchant when a horse standing in front of him happened to drop 9 nodules of dung. Quick to seize his own advantage, the merchant at once spread his uparna, a small piece of cloth on the shoulder, to catch them, and as he tied them all up securely in it, his mind became steady and concentrated. What is this that Sai Samarth said? What could be its significance? Why did that merchant collect all those nodules of dung? The meaning of all this is not clear at all. Pondering over it, Anantrao came back and narrated that conversation in detail to Dada Kelkar. Who, he asked, is this merchant, and what is the occasion for mentioning the horse dung? Moreover, why only 9 nodules? Please explain this all to me. Dada, what is this riddle? I am too slow-witted to resolve it. Tell me simply and clearly so that Baba's purpose will be understood. And Dada said, such are Baba's utterances that even I do not understand them. But by his own inspiration, I will tell you what I have understood. God's grace is this horse. And the 9 lumps of the dung are the 9 different types of devotion. Without devotion, God cannot be attained. By knowledge alone, he cannot be reached. Know that the 9-fold path of devotion is as follows. Please listen to it attentively. The first is Shravan, hearing the attributes, excellences, or wondrous achievements of as read or recited. The second, Kirtan, reciting. So here what we are doing is that we are reading all this great achievements, Sai's Leelas, and we are praising him, how great this master is. Second is Kirtan, reciting. You have to recite. Third is Smaran, calling to mind and meditating upon the names and perfections of. You have to do manan, meditate upon it. What is being said? What is it meaning? What is it meaning? You have to go deeper, 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 deeper. You have to cogitate on that knowledge, and then that answer will open up. Fourth, Pad Sevan, washing, kneading, etc. the feet of the master, the guru. Fifth, Acharna, outward worship or common service and presenting Naivedya. What is the fifth one? Outward worship or common service and presenting Naivedya. You have to every day, offer Naivedya, put all the flowers, show, Aarti, Dhoop, incense. You have to do the most beautiful Pada Seva, washing of feet and doing the Seva and Naivedya. Along with Naivedya, you have to perform the Puja. Then, sixth one, Vandan, adoration. You have to adore the Lord. Seventh, Dasya, service in general. That could be any kind of service. You're just at your, you're the servant bhava. Dasya is the servant bhava. Like you're always there to serve the master, the divine. And any kind of service. It could be cleaning the ashram. It could be, pressing his feet. It could be doing anything that he wants you to do. You're always waiting for, like you're at his beck and call to serve him at any point in time. You're cooking food for him. You're going and bringing groceries. You're doing his job. Anything, that's what's Dasya Bhava, service in general. 8. Sakhya, cultivating fellowship. It's more like a friendship. You cultivate that friendship with your, master. And 9th, Atma Nivedan, consecration of oneself unto. Absolutely surrender. Your mind, body, senses, your entire being. You samarpan at the feet of the Divine Master. That is what you do. And this is a very profound one. And here it is mentioned. You can go and listen to once again what I have read it. But if you want, I can go through once more so that you listen to it attentively. What is the the ninefold path of devotion? The first one is Shravan, hearing the attributes, excellences, or wondrous achievements of as read or recited. This is exactly what we're doing here. Second, Kirtan, reciting it. You have to recite it. Third, Smaran, calling to mind and meditating upon the names and the perfections of. Fourth, Padasevan, washing, kneading, etc. of the feet of the Divine Master. Fifth, Archana, outward worship or common service and presenting Naivedya. Sixth, Vandan, adoration. Seventh, Dasya, service in general. Eighth, Sakhya, cultivating fellowship. And ninth, Atmanivedan, consecration of oneself unto the lotus feet of the Divine Being, the Great Master. If even one out of these is practiced with implicit trust in the heart, Sri Hari, who hungers after nothing else but devotion, will appear to the devotee in his own abode. How beautiful it is. Even one you follow of this Lord Sri Hari is blessed, who is hungry and waiting for the devotion from his disciple and devotees. Nothing else does he want. And then he will appear to the devotee in his own abode. Wherever you are, Lord Sri Hari will be present there. That is what is mentioned. That is the truth. That is the absolute benediction of the Divine Almighty itself. But you need to have the devotion. You need to do it with absolute Shraddha. That faith, in the tremendous amount of faith and with full of love. That two things are extremely important when you do any task with your Guru. Like I say, when you do seva, simple. You must be massaging his feet. But massage him with love. Your mind should not wander somewhere else. When you press his feet, your love, you have to pour that love when you're doing the task. How sweet is that? You have to experience that Divine Master. Just try once. Don't do it as a mundane task. I have to press the feet. Why? Because it is mentioned here, ninefold path of devotion. Oh, I have to go massage the feet of my Guruji. Let me do it just like that. No. Put your heart and soul in doing that. It's not a task. It's love. It is seva. Okay? This is what people do not understand. Or when you're doing a puja, do it with your absolute 100% heart and soul in it. Look at the divine, adore, be lost in that. It is so beautiful. It is highly elevating. That is how you can, elevate yourself. Then you will find Sri Hari in your own abode. What is that abode? It's not just outer presence. It is your heart. Inside of your heart you can experience. That is your own abode. That is what is mentioned here. Chanting the name, penance, religious vows and observances, yoga, sadhana, study of Vedas and Upanishads, or even the exposition of spiritual knowledge and profusion, all these are futile when devoid of devotion. Absolutely. None of these things is anywhere useful and is going to give you any result when there is no devotion present in it. Anything that you do should have that devotion. See, devotion cannot be cultivated at an extremely high level all at once, but you have to cultivate it every single day. You have to have this bhavna, that prem, that love you have to experience. Without that devotion, you cannot get anything in life. No spirituality can you ever experience. It is not the proficiency in Veda Shastras, nor the worldwide fame as a jnani, nor yet a fondness for a dry, loveless devotion that is required. What is needed is devotion full of love, absolutely, prema. Prem. With prem, that devotion has to be there. Otherwise, there's nothing in that. You have to experience, you have to have that fervor. When you speak, when you sing, when you do the puja bhakti, it has to influence even everybody around you. That should be your power. That should be your love. The devotion has to come with that love. Otherwise, there is no devotion. Consider yourself to be the merchant and then try to understand the implications of this transaction, which is that once the banner of the ninefold path of devotion flies high, God, the Lord of knowledge, is pleased. The horse dropped 9 nodules of dung, which the merchant eagerly ran forward to catch. Similarly, if you hold fast to the ninefold path of devotion, your mind will repose in peace. How sweetly Baba has explained. So please follow at least one of them, and then you slowly evolve on that path. And that alone will steady the mind, make it solemn and serious, and will create goodwill towards all. In its absence, wavering and unsteadiness are inevitable. So says Guru Raya affectionately. The next day, as Anantrao went to worship Sai's feet, he was asked, "Why have you securely tied up the dung nodules in your uparna?" And Anantrao prayed, "If your grace is with this poor, meek creature, they can be easily tied up after all. What is so great about them?" How beautiful is this answer. Baba then blessed him and assured him that all would be well with him. Anantrao's heart was gladdened by hearing these words, and he enjoyed peace and happiness. And now, listeners, listen to one more short tale attentively, and you will realize Baba's power of intuitive knowledge, as also his way of guiding devotees on the path of righteousness. Once a lawyer came to Shirdi and went at once to the mosque. He took Sainath's darshan and bowed at his feet. He then offered the dakshina that he carried with him and at once sat down on one side. He suddenly got interested in listening to Baba's conversation with others that was going on there. Baba turned his face towards him and uttered something referring to him. The words stung him to the quick, causing remorse in his heart. Oh, how insincere people are! They will bow at the feet, even offer dakshina, and yet curse you all the time in their heart. How strange indeed. On hearing this, the lawyer kept quiet, but in his heart he had understood full well. He knew that Baba's words were just. The lesson went home all right. Later, when he returned to the Vada, he said to Dikshit that, piercing as Baba's words had been, all that he said was absolutely right. The volley of accusations that Baba fired at me the moment I entered was really only a warning given to me that I should give no place in my mind to reviling, abusive talk about others. This is extremely important. Our civil judge, who was suffering from ill health, came here on leave to rest and improve his health. While in the lawyer's common room, the topic about the civil judge came up during conversation. Discussions, arguments followed, though it was none of their business. Can these physical ailments be cured in the absence of proper medication merely by going after Sai? Does this sort of behavior become a man who has risen to be a civil judge? While such reviling and criticizing of the civil judge was going on, and even Sai was not spared derision, I was also a party to it in however small a measure it may be. And it was the impropriety of this that Baba demonstrated. It was not a volley of censorious remarks, but his grace to teach me that futile debates and discussions, scornful, critical revilings, and such wicked thoughts about anyone should be given up altogether. Okay, this is an extremely powerful lesson for everybody. You know what? We make a big blunder in this case. No matter who it is, whether the person is right, the person is wrong, it doesn't matter. We have no right to speak bad about anybody, speak ill about anyone, and try to criticize. Yes, the reason is because, look, everybody is doing their karma. Why should we get into somebody else's karma? It is not for us to judge anyone. This is something my Krishna Guruji, every single day he keeps teaching us, because this is what our mind does. It judges, it talks bad about people, it tries to criticize, it tells all the bad things. No, we are not supposed to. Even my Guruji will tell, no matter what the person does, let them be bad. Why are you even trying to say they are bad? Don't say anything. It is not for you to judge anyone. There is somebody, above all, having, he's looking after everybody. He's watching. He knows what is right, what is wrong. He has a book. There is accounts, credit, debit is happening. He knows to take care. Why are you dirtying your mouth? You have to evolve on the path of spirituality, so always speak good. And if you can't speak good, don't speak bad as well. At least refrain from doing this. This itself becomes a greatest spiritual sadhana. Mark this, okay? We all need to do this. It is extremely important for us to become very, very good in our as a human being, and also when we are on the path of spiritual, it is a very important lesson that we all have to learn. I'm going to take another 5 minutes because we just have another 10 words. So let me complete the story and the chapter 2. It was yet one more proof that, though 100 miles away, Sai knew everybody's mind. He was truly omniscient. God, they're all knowing. That's what my Guruji says. What do you think? You think I don't know what's happening? Why are you coming and complaining to me? I know. I understand who's doing what. I am watching. That's what my Guruji will tell. You don't even have to open your mouth and utter a word, but you follow what is being taught to you, because this knowledge is coming to you. And if you're listening to this knowledge, please know that it is for you and me for this to follow, and not for somebody else, because they are not getting this knowledge. So we have to live this knowledge. That is why we are learning this. One other thing was resolved too. Hills and mountains may stand between, but nothing is hidden from Sai's sight. Even the most secret matter lies bared before him. You will literally be naked in front of him. You cannot hide anything. Even if you're hiding it, your dirty secrets in your heart, please know that the gurus are, and the God is all knowing. So you cannot hide anything from your master. And so from then onwards, the lawyer firmly resolved never to indulge in censure or criticism, or to entertain any wicked thoughts about anyone. Whatever we do and whatever we may be, nothing escapes Sai's knowledge. About this, he was convinced, and his propensity towards wicked deeds vanished gradually. The urge for good, righteous deeds arose in his mind, and the faith took a firm root in his heart that Sai is with you, in front of you and behind you. Who is so powerful as to deceive him. So who is so powerful to deceive him? Nobody can. So please know that, have that faith. He is there with you at all times. So have that strength and follow the path of righteousness alone. And when we consider carefully, although the story has a direct connection to that lawyer in every sense and in every way, it is equally instructive for all. Absolutely. This applies to everybody. Please don't think it's a story about some lawyer. It is about you and me. That's what it is. As we have to evolve on the path and become the divine being, we have to be perfect in our, sadhana. We have to be perfect in our spiritual, knowledge and instructions, and how we apply them and evolve on that path. When Sai, the cloud of compassion, and I pray sincerely that, like that lawyer, the narrator here, all his listeners and Sai's devotees should also nurture the same faith and same conviction. Yes, we all will pray today to Baba and my Guruji that please, bless us with this conviction and bless us with the same experience and faith, so that we do not speak anything bad about anybody, and we only have virtue. We have to live the virtues which is taught by Lord Shri Krishna in chapter 16, verse 1, 2 and 3. Please go read it, and we all have to live that so that we can become godly beings. And unfathomable, when Sai, the cloud of compassion, showers his grace, we will all be satiated. In this there is hardly any wonder. All who are thirsty will be satiated. And unfathomable is Sai's greatness. Limitless are his great tales. Sai's life story has no bounds, for he is Parabrahma incarnate. Now, in the next chapter, listen carefully, O faithless Now in the next chapter, listen carefully, O faithful devotees, to a story which will satisfy your wishes and bring steadiness and peace in your minds. Sai Samarth knew beforehand what calamities were to befall his devotees, and he would avert them in the midst of jesting and joking and playful laughter. Devotee Hemad surrenders to Sai. The story is now complete. The story that follows is about averting the calamities of the devotees. Knowing the future calamities of the devotees before, and how Sai, the ocean of kindness, averts them by giving a timely warning, will be told. Here ends the 21st chapter of Shri Sai Satcharita called Bestowal of Grace. Thank you so much for joining the satsang today. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I hope we will all follow the ninefold path of devotion, and I wish you all a great success in at least practicing a little bit. Thank you once again. Om Shri Maa Ganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.